The Deputy Governor of West Coast Region, Fatou Sanyang, in a statement she read on behalf of the Governor. Well, after the successful launching of the project, these people hope to be back in 2 years' time to celebrate the completion of the project. Momodes Jalo, Grts.
National Assembly members have converged on the Baobab Holiday Resort for a 2-day meeting convened to sensitize them on the performance of the Gambia Emergency Agricultural Production Project, GIP. Officials of the Anti-Hunger Project and their partners targeted the lawmakers in view of their advocacy and decision-making roles, especially in the context of agricultural development. Let's go with this report for more on that convergence. Almost 2 years after reaching out to Gambian farmers in the form of hundreds of farm machinery and other inputs like fertilizer and seeds, the Gambia Emergency Agricultural Production Project, GIP, is now meeting with the people's representatives to share with them how a project born out of the 2008 food crisis has performed. Sheikh Tijan Sose, the man coordinating the €5.3 million intervention, told National Assembly members that GIP, which is funded by the EU with the World Bank as a conduit, was designed as an emergency project to strengthen the food production and productivity capacities of farmers.
There was an interagency assessment which comprised of the World Bank, the EU, FAO, Ministry of Agriculture, NGOs, and other key stakeholders. They conducted a rapid assessment of the situation to determine the effect and the magnitude of the food crisis in 2008. And as a result of that assessment, 9 districts were identified in the country as the most vulnerable to the food crisis then.
Agnes Gillard, EU Secretary Affairs to the Gambia, in her statement, reaffirmed the European Union's commitment to working with the Gambia in attaining the Millennium Development Goals, especially in the area of food security. Despite the challenges encountered along the way, she said the positive impacts realized by the GIP cannot be measured.
To improve sustainability of the agricultural capacity of the country, inputs for one single harvest are obviously not enough. That is why 667 farmers groups were also provided with machinery equipment such as power tillers to improve sustainably their labor productivity. In addition to that, the project team worked hard on the rehabilitation of 23 post-harvest storage facilities and on the rehabilitation of 3 seed multiplication facilities in Sapu, Charmen, and Djeroba.
As representatives of people, including farmers, an official of World Bank Banjul office, Badara Diouf, reminded National Assembly members of the important role they could play in the advancement of a sector he described as the lifeline of the Gambian economy.
You, as the representatives of the people, you have a big stake in this. It is to ensure that the projects are well targeted and they reach the beneficiaries, and the beneficiaries benefit for the sake of food self-sufficiency and food security. That is important. That is, for me, that is the role of the National Assembly. One, to make sure that there is enough appropriation in the budget for agriculture, because it's the lifeline of this country. Two, to ensure that the beneficiaries whom you represent at the level of the National Assembly have benefited from these projects, and projects are well targeted.
The involvement of National Assembly members in this 2-day forum, according to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, shows the importance the Gambia government attaches to agriculture and food self-sufficiency in particular.
We cannot address food self-sufficiency in the absence of agricultural mechanization. By addressing food self-sufficiency, you have to provide input to the farmers.
The outcome of this interface, convened by the Gambia Emergency Agricultural Production Project shortly before it winds down, is expected to help government, donors, and the project team in the appraisal of future interventions. Farmer Fofana, Grts. Over 100 newly promoted naval personnel have been decorated with insignias that commensurate with their new ranks. The ceremony was held at Naval Headquarters and presided over by Commodore Madani Senghor. Babakar Kamara has more on that.
He is back on a merit-based promotion pioneered by their Commander-in-Chief President Jammeh, following the recent decorations of 426 military personnel at the Defense Headquarters camp barely 1 week ago.
This year promotion 2012 is a straw that breaks the camel's back, and it is important to note here that none of those recommended for promotion have been disapproved.
The recent promotion constituted 118 naval officials of non-commissionable ranks, ranging from ordinary, able and leading seamen, petty to chief petty officers and fleet petty officers. These new promotions, according to the Naval High Command, is first of its kind, building on a strong initiative by President Jammeh to reward deserving naval officials.
The promotions of 118 non-commissioned officers in the Gambia Navy is a result of a directive given by the Chief of Defense Staff to look at deserving ratings of the Gambia Navy that deserve to be promoted as a form of motivation. My office convened a board, a promotion board comprising of your unit commanders and your commanding officers. They sat and deliberated upon who should be promoted and who should not be promoted based on the directives that were given in the convening order. That is, promotion is no longer based on the length of service, but it is based on merit.
To whom much is given, much is expected. We are all aware of the challenges that lie ahead of us and the high expectations of the command.
It is a moment of gratification that ushered their fitness to amass the various ranks conferred to them by their high command in anticipation of continued loyalty and dedication to their new functions. These are all efforts geared towards transforming the dreams of the gallant seamen. Babukar Kamara, GRTS.
Meanwhile, His Excellency Sir Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya Jammeh, President of the Republic of the Gambia, GMRG FAAICL, has great pleasure to inform the general public that the State House annual Maulid Nabi is slated for today, Saturday, 4th February 2012, from 10 p.m. at the State House grounds. A dispatch from State House invites the general public to the Gamo. That takes us to our first break. We'll be back with news from outside the Gambia.
wallahi inspecteur wagan suma dimbalewul rek ma tak man bandi ak ray gatu nit ñi ak ñi xam dañu jaay trop maak ñoom ñooy toog nii duma bandi nag di xam na ne ñun ñaar ku wàcce sa morom rek mbir mi yàqu taral ma pol ministre non ana ministre moom laa soxla
wa nga ministre bi
waaw waaye nag
wa nga ministre bi kañ mo mën a jàppale
ma de ministre rek la xale
ñu bon ñu yowul ñu fi
kii lu mu amul si biir police bi fii rek waaw jox ma 100,000 ma fekk seen gémmiñ
duro bari
waaw ba ma ne arrest ko nga yóbbu loolu rek la juróom fukki at ak ñaar tey 100,000 boy inspector.
Welcome back. Senegalese President Abdoulaye Wade has promised that the fast approaching campaign for the presidential election will be peaceful. The assurances come on the back of recent confrontations between security forces and people opposed to President Wade's third-term bid.